And I'm gonna use some abrasives to do it. If you don't know what abrasives are, that would be steel wool. That's quad zero. Whenever anybody talks about quad zero steel wool, if you're not already familiar, it's the 4 zeros. It's extra fine steel wool. So right now I'm adding a little bit of this, what is it called? High Slide from Window Cleaning Resource. Just a good glog of that. And some soap. Get it nice and sudsy for today. Alright. That's enough. About 3 gallons in there. Don't need this much. I don't usually use buckets. I don't usually use trad tools outside, but this is a first time clean, so let's check this out. Alright, so this glass here, I don't know if you can tell, but it's a little bit hazy up there. It's got, what's it called? It's got broken seals up there right now. So, the window will probably be replaced in a couple years, but they don't usually use this window. It's one of the only ones that are this bad, so I'm gonna go ahead and get it wet with the soapy water. Alrighty. Now, this one's not so bad. So I'll use this almond pad, rather walnut pad. This here is a walnut scouring pad attached to the Velcro on this handle. Does a good job if it's mild stains or mild buildup. Great for pollen, bugs, all the guts that come from bugs. Alright, so I have it nice and agitated. Get the mucky water off of the frame. Now, cut in and work my way down the mountain. Because it's got a broken seal, it's not going to be as shiny as normal. What are you going to do? Alright, let's get in close here for this lower window. There we go. So I'm just gonna get it soapy again. Again, this is just Dawn dish soap with some High Glide from Window Cleaning Resource. Alright. Use that walnut scouring pad again. Give it a nice good scrub. There we go. Wipe the inside of these frames. Don't want anything dripping down while I go. And let's make that little mountain and work my way down again. Whoops. What a difference. Most satisfying part of the job. Alright, now I'm going to turn this little sucker around. Let's see what we got here. So starting in the back here, I already cleaned the inside windows, but whether I'm cleaning inside glass or not, I always got to get these screens out of the way. Don't want the wind to blow them over. I just stack them like so. The one closest to the front is always the one closest to the front door. So I just take those, keep them in order. I'll wash them later and keep them in that order as I'm going. That way I'd never lose track of which screen goes where. Basic processes like that save you a lot of headaches. Alright, now this glass is a little bit worse. So the walnut pad that I have probably wouldn't cut it the first time, at least not on the top piece of glass. Now the benefit of the walnut pad is it doesn't wear out very quickly. It lasts a long time. This time I'm using the Quad Zero steel wool. Got to get the edges real good. Make sure you dig it in the corners. Those are the most stingy part of the glass. Ready? Now, I like to cross over when it's really grimy in multiple directions. So I'll circle first, and then I'll just cut straight across, either up and down or left to right. Mostly depends on what's comfortable. If I'm up on a ladder reaching kind of funny, it might be easier to go horizontal lines. But right now, vertical works fine because I'm nose to glass as close as I can be. All right, I'm just gonna re-wet that. And I can get the frame, get all that extra slop. Frames are actually not in bad shape. Normally they're a little grimier considering the condition of this glass. Make that little mountain, work your way down. Now, one of the important things if you're handling a squeegee, you want to cut as much of the liquid at a time as you can. So I'll show you what I mean in just a minute. Get this wet. Over here, it's just this top right there, about the top 3 inches or so that are really grimy. So I'm gonna focus more on that. Oftentimes on these double hung windows, you'll see that layer of grime on the bottom 2 inches of the top pane and the top couple inches of the bottom pane. So as long as you scrub there, you're usually good. Probably don't need to steel wool the rest of this glass, but oop, I'm feeling, can't see it, but there's a little bit of particles in there. That's some mortar from the brick. That's my guess. It's been there since they built the house. So I'm going to use the fresh blade here straight across. I usually go top down, but what you gonna do? Started wrong, finish right. There we go. You just want to make sure you're going in the same direction and that it's extra soapy. Make sure it has plenty of lubrication on the glass. You don't want to drag any pieces of sand or grout or mortar or concrete across. That's a no-no. That'll be a oopsie. Sorry, I've got 6 kids. I talk like one sometimes. And if you're watching, apologize, but I cannot read any comments. But if you want to communicate with me, go ahead and send me an email. My email is ben@BluLadder.com, and that's blue spelled without the E, so BEN at BLULADDER.com. All right, now I was talking about how you want to cut with the squeegees. You want to take as much of the liquid as you can on each swipe. You'll see some guys, they'll cut in right, but then they do these little, it takes 20 times to get down, and then they mess up. You don't want to do it that way. You want to take up as much surface area as you can. So you cut in, get the edges. You can be a little slower there, but then look, I want to swipe as much of that off at once as I can. Big lines. So I can do that in 3 passes, 1, 2, 3. And that's where having a bigger squeegee can get faster. Instead of doing, you get a bigger pane of glass. Instead of doing a dozen swipes with the smaller squeegee, you do less swipes with a bigger squeegee. So you don't just want to be cutting into the glass about 1 inch or 2 at a time. You want to take up as much of the surface area with each swipe of the squeegee as you can. That keeps you working efficient and quickly. Just detailing the edges here. I made a little bit of a mess that second time around. Okie doke. Let's see if you can see how grimy this next one is. Not terrible, but I do think I'll use the steel wool again on this. Now, you may ask, why would you use the steel wool versus the almond pad? And I said before, the almond pad does not wear out as quickly. The steel wool you use for one job, sometimes it doesn't even get through a whole job before it starts kind of disintegrating. And after one day of use or one job of use, it'll start rusting. And that rust is going to be bad for business. You don't want to use rusty steel wool on clean glass or on any kind of glass. because that will also scratch it. So this has more stucco on it, or not stucco, mortar from the bricks. There we go. And again, that's a fresh, clean blade. You don't necessarily have to switch out your blade every time you do work, but it can wear out pretty quickly. So, especially, you know, depending on what you're scraping. If you're if you're scraping heavier debris like I am right now, the mortar from the bricks, or concrete splatter, or something of that nature, then you're going to wear out that blade pretty quickly, compared to if you're just scraping a light amount of paint. So, all right, that should be sufficient. Get that wet one more time. Now, I'm in Texas. The sun's not shining today, but it's a little humid. But it does get a little warm. So I want to make sure that water is nice and wet when I squeegee it. I'm going to use the bigger squeegee this time. So I'll cut in at the top, get down to the bottom right corner, go back to the top and get the top left. And you work your way down the mountain, taking down as much surface area on each swipe as you can. That takes it from 20 seconds to squeegee down to, well, maybe that's more. 15 seconds to squeegee down to about 10. Whatever it is, it's similar proportion to that. The bigger squeegee goes faster, but it's harder to get into tighter spaces. So that's the trade-off. If you have a choice to use the bigger one, it's usually going to be faster. But a lot of times, skilled window cleaners will go for the shorter one just because it's kind of fun. Might take longer, but we're not always counting. But if you are counting and you're trying to be max efficient for as efficient as you can be for the day, pardon my tongue ties. If you want to be as efficient as you possibly can be, use the bigger squeegee when you can. Okay, now I'm using the shorty. This is a 14-inch one. There we go. Got to be careful when closing out not to splatter too much. You get that on the window and sometimes you almost want to re-clean it. Right. Now, since I already did these windows on the inside, I did the tracks as well as I could on most of them. I just got a little spot there. I use the Mormon squeegee, by the way, the liquidator channels on the accelerator. Okay, whoops. Let's see what's next. This is one dirty piece of glass. Yeah, look at that sucker. I'm gonna move this chair out of the way and set up my little step ladder. Here we go. Now this top pane is extra grimy. So if I clean it without that, I'll show you. I don't know how well you can see, but no, I cleaned that glass, or I washed that glass at least, but it's still got quite a bit of grime on it. That's why, I'm just gonna spray it a little bit. That's why you gotta use something abrasive to cut into it. Kind of breaks open the surface and lets you get that grime off. There we go. I like to kind of go along the borders and then work my way inside, kind of like I'm coloring a picture in a coloring book. There we go. This is always satisfying, but also makes you a little bit sore the more you do this. This is when you earn your keep. Dirty, dirty glass. Alrighty. And mop up the frames. do the 18-inch blade. And these are typically advertised, these liquidator channels, as no detail squeegees, and they do a pretty good job. Still got to get the bottom. I'm seeing I don't really have anything to detail. Might be a little in this corner. I don't probably have to get that, but I will. And then there's this bottom line. Sides, if you use a different type of channel, you're always going to have a little bead of water there. Or usually. You can get by without it sometimes, but these ones getting so tight that it's a lot more efficient. So, alright, now that lower piece is filthy too. Let's get that scrubbing. Now, I don't think this one has as much grime buildup. It's just dirty. So I'll be able to get by with this walnut pad. There we go. There we go. That's pretty clean now. I have these bricks in the way. I should just move them, but I'm a little lazy right now. There we go. Detail a little drop there on the left and the bottom edge. Oops, that was not good. So if you can see, I've got two different cloths. Let me turn this around. I've got two separate types of cloth that I use. One is your typical microfiber cloth. You get this at Home Depot, Lowe's, Walmart, anywhere you think of. Costco has those big neon yellow ones. I use that to clean up the slop on the tracks. This is a zero fish scale towel. It's got that kind of linked together mesh. It's nice and tight fabric, has a lot of moisture retention. It's fantastic, particularly for detailing glass. So it's my go-to. I don't like to get it dirty. I only like to use it on the clean windows for detailing. All right, now let's get to these next two windows. Sorry about the shaking. There we go. I'm just gonna have to move a little bit of this stuff out of the way. I don't charge extra for this, I just do it. Now, speaking of moving furniture around, some guys do charge a fee because it does take longer in your day. But I like to position myself as like an all-inclusive, I call it my full service package that they got. And I don't want to feel like, or I don't want the customers to feel like they've got to do a bunch of stuff to get ready for me to come. I just say, you just make yourself at home and I'll take care of things. Now I got a big old bucket of water, but sometimes these little, what is it? The brand's Ecolab, they sell at Home Depot. These are fantastic spray bottles. Whatever you need around the house, if you want to put detergent in there, it has great, see, you can get nice sharp shooting action there, or you can get a nice mist coming off of it. It gets a lot of water on the glass real fast for me. Use one at home for cleaning countertops, at whatever the general surface cleaning detergent you might have. Using this walnut scrubbing pad here. These windows are a little less grimy and mostly just dusty. Just gonna make sure you get into those edges real well. These pads are nice, but sometimes You got to be careful to get that pressure in there. Otherwise you do all that scrubbing and you realize there's this line of grime on the edge still. Doesn't take a whole lot, but it's easy to make that mistake. It's something easy to learn pretty quickly. Ooh, whoops, slipped there. And I made a mistake here. I've got a little drip there. All better. A little more over here on this edge. So that's why I use that zero fish scale towel. It does such a good job with detailing. It doesn't leave any debris on the glass. Doesn't carry lint. As long as it's clean, you're not going to leave any marks behind. Now, if you wash it and use too much soap, then that soap will cling to it and can leave some, oh, whoops, let me scour this. That soap can leave some residue, so make sure that it's absolutely clean. I always double rinse all my rags if I wash them. And then I make sure they're dry and clean when I'm using them for detailing. There we go. Yeah, this one, I could just feel this glass is a little more grimy. So I'm giving a little extra diligent scrubbing. All right. And that's the nice thing. The more you clean windows, you get a feel for things, literally. You can feel the resistance of any debris or junk that's on the glass. So you could almost clean blind. That'd be a pretty good test, is how well can you clean with a blindfold. Get this guy out of here. All right. So I like to go kind of top to down, left to right. Or, you know, I'll pick a direction on the house and work clockwise or counterclockwise, but just in a linear fashion. So in this case, started back on the left. I'm working my way towards the front. And with these two, I did the top two panes first. That way, if I'm done cleaning this one, if I was to clean this bottom one next, then when I'm cleaning that other top pane, I could splatter some down. So to avoid that, I just clean all the ones that are close together. The whole top section's in a row. And go down incrementally from there. So, alright. That squeegee is a little big. Here's the 14-incher. Now I always carry, or almost always carry, 2 squeegees with me. Sometimes 3, sometimes 1, but what makes the difference is if I have any larger panes, which the top panes here would be considered larger, the bottom panes here would be kind of average. I don't really get too concerned about the exact size of it. I just kind of eyeball it and feel like, okay, if that bigger squeegee channel seems like it will be helpful to go quicker, then I'll bring it. If there's no larger pieces of glass, then I won't bring the bigger channel. I'll stick more with my 14-inch. I don't have to make any decisions between what squeegee to use on any given piece of glass. But if this was the biggest pane, then I'd probably use the 14-inch on the whole job. So that's the 2 main go-tos that I have. the 14 and the 18. And then the other one I'll carry, I don't have it with me right now, but just a 6-inch channel for smaller cut-ups. So I'll have the 2 bigger squeegees in my bucket on a belt, and then I'll put the smaller squeegee in this little hammer loop where I have the scrubbing pad. There we go. That's a clean piece of glass now. Let's get the details. All right. Now here comes another really grimy piece of glass. This one definitely needs a steel wool. Trying to give you a good view of that. But that's grimy. I don't know if you can see that tape mark on the top right, but right there. See if I can get some of that off with some steel wool. Yeah, it's coming off. I like to clean the whole window. Not just the glass, but the frames too. So, a little bit extra time, but I typically charge well enough to not feel bad about doing that. And after I've cleaned that the first time, I won't have to clean it the next time. So, get it over with, wow the customers a little bit. They don't necessarily expect that, but when you can do it, why not? Okay, starting with the edges, that top and the sides, dig in real good. All right. Yeah, I can feel the resistance of this scum. It's gonna come nice and clear. I'm gonna mop that up a little more. Hit that frame. And big squeegee here. Get to the top, bottom, top again, bottom, and now cut down the mountain in as few swipes as possible. And going downstairs from there. Yeah, this is pretty bad too. I'm wondering if they used to barbecue over here or something. That's a dirty window. There's the Quad Zero steel wall in action. Oh, I'm feeling stucco again. I'll get some more soapy water on that glass before I scrape it up. Just gonna make sure this blade is clear. And there we go. Now I just felt some debris on the bottom. There we go. I'll say on the bottom 6 to 8 inches. Just gonna make sure you swipe in one direction. Otherwise you're gonna swipe across and pull back. You're liable to get a little bit of sand chunks in there. Some little stones leave some scratches. And we don't want that, do we? Alrighty. That feels good. Get those frames one more time. These frames are just real bad. Real dirty. Almost like mud. Alright, here goes the 14-inch Now, if you're cleaning windows, you kind of have to learn how to do it with both hands. It takes a little bit of practice at first, but if you can't squeegee with your left hand, work on it while you can, because ultimately you're going to get into situations where you're up on a ladder and you can only reach it if you use your left hand or right hand, depending on the situation, right? So if you get up there, now all of a sudden you only get one swipe before it's going to dry. It can be a little hectic if you haven't practiced. But if you've been doing it for as many years as I have, I've been doing it since like 2011. So I'm on year 13. I don't have to think about it. I just do it. It becomes instinctual. It's muscle memory now. The nice thing about being able to rely on muscle memory to clean glass is you can just kind of go on autopilot. You don't have to think about what you're doing. You just clean. And you don't miss any steps just because you've done it so many times over and over and over that it just naturally comes. You just move and clean and walk away, and all of a sudden there's shiny glass where it used to be grimy. So you're able to use your mental faculties in different ways. I usually listen to podcasts or audiobooks, on Audible, stuff about marketing, strategy for small business growth, customer life cycle, all kinds of stuff like that. Or podcasts with other small business owners or people who've successfully grown and launched their own, grown and sold their window cleaning businesses. It's always nice to hear from somebody who's already been there, find out that they are as human as you are. They've made mistakes and failed in order to get to where they successfully moved on to the next step of life. Whatever that looks like to somebody. There we go. Just gotta detail the edges here. Straight there. I think I might need to change out my rubber. That'll line up there too. So over here, I was using the steel wool, but I must have not gotten over these edges well enough. Sometimes you can get it with one of these rags, but this is a little too deep. So what you can do, I left my bag of steel wool over there, but if you have clean, dry steel wool, you can literally, hey, how's it going? Oh yeah, sure. I pretty much am. Myself and my camera, just a little vain, but no, I've been working on some videos. I'm buying another company, so I'm gonna have to train some guys. So I'm trying to put together some videos to walk them through the process of different situations. I mean, I'll be with them every day for several months once I get going, but
cool.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, you never know when the customers are going to pop out. This is a nice guy. Spent a good 20 minutes, at least 15 minutes talking to his mom in there. Sweet lady. Another highlight of the job, you get to just meet nice people. Talk to them, get to know them, hear their stories, look for a couple nuggets of wisdom from them. So she was telling me about her husband. Oh, I already cleaned this, but I dripped on it, so I have to clean it again. That's why I always want to do the top one before you get to the bottom one. But she was talking about her husband, how he was just one of those guys who's always eager to help. He became a Christian as a young man and changed his life. There we go. There's the puppy. Dogs will be dogs. All right. This is a little bit grimy. Not too bad. Use the walnut pad here. So you can kind of see here there's a broken seal. That big old streak is between the two panes of glass. Nothing we can do about that. Just try to make it as clean as you can on the outside surface. At least it'll sparkle a little bit. Got those frames detailed so that it doesn't drip on the squeegeed window. You might notice I'm switching between microfiber rags because one of them is dirtier. So if I have to move mud out of the way, I'll use that and use the one that's a little bit cleaner to wipe off the rest of it. All right. A little bit messy there, but make it all better. Okay. Let's see what's next. So, just working my way around the building here. I already cleaned those two tall windows. I'm gonna work around to the front. Just got a few more pieces of glass left here. And then I'll wash the screens and put everything back where it belongs. All right, now this next one's gonna be fun. Oops. All right, so I'll be standing over top of a bunch of flowers. And some liquid on that. And cleaning a big window like this, just gotta kind of take it in chunks. Make sure I can reach everything on the top section. Wet it. This glass is pretty clean, it's not bad. I'll use the pop off the frame. Got two little spots here. There's just some artillery fungus. So it didn't come off with a squeegee, but it's coming right off with the rag, so that's good. Sometimes that sometimes that artillery fungus gets on there pretty badly, and you have to use a razor blade to get it off, but in this case, we're good to go. Just gonna cut here. I'm standing in front of a bunch of plants, so it's raining earlier, so I feel the raindrops falling on my legs. Probably some mosquitoes down there too. It's one of the things they don't tell you about cleaning windows. get in the bushes, get caught up in thorns and bit up by mosquitoes. Just another day cleaning glass. Alrighty. Clean up that muck. Get the frame real good. Yeah, I didn't need any abrasives on this bottom window. It's nice and shiny. Polished off and ready to go. A little more soap here. Gotta get it. It took a little more effort than normal. Okay, that's let's see if I can reach up there. I left the step ladder in the back of the house. Silly me. Watch this trick. There we go. Can actually dig in pretty well like this. And get a good amount of pressure with that top edge. This window doesn't feel too bad. I'm going to use my long squeegee, microfiber rag. Alright, just like that. I get the frame and then I want to get the edge of glass with the corner of the squeegee. Makes it so there's no sloppy soap water. It's going to drip down onto the glass after I squeegee it off. That worked. Yeah, when I have to reach high for taller windows, I usually cut in on the side. Squeegee blade jumped off the edge there. There we go. Don't jump, buddy. Don't jump. Clean up this dirty piece of glass. This is one of the last windows. I think there might be one more. Out on the other side. Oops. And I cut it on the top. Go top down and then up past the corner. Down the mountain. Yeah, my squeegee blade's not having a great time out. It's leaving some marks. So I gotta change the rubber before my next job. But this is gonna be it for the day as far as squeegees go. Everything else I got today will be using the water-fed pole. Okay. So I've got one last window to clean out on the side of the house. And I'll get to scrubbing some of these dirty window screens. All right, here we go. The last window of this house. This one's grimy too, but not terrible. I'm gonna go ahead and use the steel wool just to be safe, because I don't want to leave some residue up on the top here. The top is where it's particularly bad. Re-wet the glass again and get those frames. Okie doke. Now, 18-inch squeegee. Cut in the top. Work your way down. Get to the opposite corner and down. Then a few swipes as possible. Come down the mountain and close it out. All right, no detailing there. To this bottom piece of glass, give it a good scrub. Now, if you're a newbie window cleaner and you haven't learned how to fan yet and you do straight pulls can get you through a lot of situations. But something like this, the glass is so recessed into there that straight pulls, I guess you could do it if you have a nice, gotta have a really good angle here. This one's a little too shallow still. I can't go any further than this. I think this is 40 degrees. But anyways, all that to say, straight pulls can be a little harder to close out on glass like this. If you're fanning, you got a little more leeway sometimes. You only have to close out one spot. So the other thing you can do is go almost straight up and down, and then you'll be able to close out a lot easier. So here we go. I just gotta detail this piece of glass, and then I'll be good to go for here. Oh, you know what? I was wrong. There's one more window I missed. The bathroom window. I'm glad I didn't miss this. I don't think they ever look out this window, but it'd be a shame if I missed it, that's for sure. I'm just grabbing my trusty 5-gallon bucket. Filled this up and I didn't even use it hardly. All right. Where's that soapy water bin? All right. It's more fun when you get extra soapy water. Got something there. Those are bug eggs. Thought it was stucco for a second. All right. Ah, it's nice and sudsy. This is gonna be a satisfying squeegee. All right. All right, get those frames real good because we don't want any drips on it. Now, because this is so tall, I'm not cutting in at the top and working to the corners. Just kind of go the S motion all the way down. Different window shapes call for different techniques. They're mostly good to go one way or another, but I could clean this one of two ways. One, I could start at the bottom like this, go straight up, cut across. Now, you're gonna have a line here, so I always go down a little bit and then get that corner back down. So you risk getting a little mark in this section here, which I did, but I wasn't being too careful. The other way, which that works very fast, very efficient, but it's easy to miss marks or mess up a little bit. It takes a little more finesse. So if you haven't practiced as much, then you're gonna wanna use the S. Start at the top and just kind of work your way down section by section. You still wanna get up as much surface area with each swipe of the squeegee as you can. And when you're doing it like that, this is a 14-inch squeegee and this is about 20 inches wide, 28 inches rather, wide of glass. So I have enough room to rotate it. If I was using the bigger squeegee, it makes for tighter angles to turn, still doable, but the amount of caution you have to take slows you down, so it's not necessarily faster. So if I had only the big squeegee blade with me, I could do it, but I'd just rather not. You could also do 2 straight pulls from top to bottom. More than one way to skin a cat, as they say. As long as that glass gets cleaned, you'll be good to go. All right, just a little slop right there. So I'm just gonna grab the rest of my screens here, and I've got the soap that I use, again High Glide with Dawn dish soap. That's my solution currently. Honestly, I think I like the Mowerman, their special soap, the most, but I ran out and decided I'd try something new. And if I'm perfectly honest, I do miss it. All right. So I'm just gonna take all my tools to the front of the house, clean the screens off with my zero screen cleaner, and move on from there to pass out some flyers and see what else comes down my way. So if anybody's been watching, just want to say thank you. I'm gonna be closing out this job and ending this live stream in a moment here. If you want to get a hold of me, just comment on the video once it's posted after the live stream, because I won't see the comments right now, and it doesn't save, YouTube doesn't save the comments as they're going in real time, so any comments now will be lost to me. But if you want to get in touch, send me an email, ben@BluLadder.com. That's BEN@BLULADDER.com. That's blue without the E. So you guys take care. Feel free to reach out and ask me any questions about window cleaning or starting your own business. And you take care.